Order. Order. Order.
This raises the tip wage 50 cents on January 1st, and it raises another 50 cents January 1st, 2017.
One business owner told me that this is going to cost them $24,000 a year, which is much better than the original bill that you put in, Representative, so I commend you for coming down to 50 cents. Another restaurant owner said to me, well, there's nothing I can do. It's going to cost me $18,000, so now I'm going to have to lay off 4 or 5 people that are employed in my restaurant.
My son was a waiter for about 5 years, and I can tell you he never worked for the minimum wage. He wouldn't have stayed if he was making $3 an hour. My son was lucky. He got to be a waiter, but those restaurants now are going to reduce the number of waiters that they have because they simply can't afford it. Waiters do not work for minimum wage. That's just a false argument.
The tip minimum wage has not increased since 1996. Back then, it was 2/3 of the regular minimum wage. Now, as we know, it's significantly less than 1/3 of the regular minimum wage. We have the lowest tipped minimum wage in the region. Our job in this room is to represent all of Rhode Island. That means representing the waitress at the little place where the traffic's slow and tipping is unreliable. It means representing the waitress at the IHOP down the road where menu prices are low and where nearly every server has told me they regularly make below the minimum wage. It means representing the bartender who has to wash down and clean up the whole bar after every shift and has to do a full, deep, multi-hour clean of the entire place twice a week because the boss would much rather pay her $2.89 an hour than have a cleaning crew come in for $10 to $12 an hour. It means representing the waitress who serves you your lunch with a big smile, but inside might be terrified about whether they're going to make enough to put food in front of their own kids.
We're dealing with something that operates on a percentage basis. Percents don't change. The social norm as far as how much of a tip should be left for a server has in fact increased from 10% up to the average of 18%. Percents don't change. There is not a single server or tip server in this state who ever, under any circumstance, unless someone is breaking the law, and we have remedies to deal with those folks, there is no one that makes less than the minimum wage as a tipped worker.
And if somebody's asking you to sweep the floor and mop the floor and do the bathrooms and the toilets after hours and they think they're going to give you $2.89, that's ridiculous. Nobody would expect that to be the truth.
In Rhode Island, in the last 3 months, there have been 3 different businesses that have been found in violation of that law.
I'm a great tipper. I'm sure all you are a great tipper.
I actually went with Representative Regenberg, and we did question the waitress. She did say that she didn't make minimum wage a lot of times, and she had been working there for, I think, 8 years. 8 years, she said. So I asked her, I said, well, how can you work somewhere for 8 years and you're not making the minimum wage? I said, don't you go up to your boss and discuss the fact that the law is you have to make minimum wage? And she said she needed the job and she wasn't going to go to her boss and tell her boss that she wasn't making minimum wage because of the tips, and that in some way that was an inference that she wasn't a good waitress.
You know, if you're a good server, you're going to make good money. If you're a lousy server, you shouldn't be in the industry.
The leadership has made a decision that we're not going to put those waitresses and tip servers in that delicate position where they're intimidated to go to their employer and say that maybe they haven't done that great of a job, or feel as though their employer might think they haven't done that great of a job.